How far now, Mo enter Shrine? Alonzi is here, the chief priest is here, and you're welcome to today's class. So now, I'm going to show you how I went from this.
Love, tell me what it is. Tell me what it is. Love,
Then I went to this.
love, tell me what it is. Tell me what it is.
Without wasting much time, let's dive right in this section and let me show you how I did that magic. Now, so without wasting much time, let's dive right into the section. So these are the vocals. I have done the gain staging and I have cleaned the vocals of all hisses and hum. It's quite a boring process, so I don't want to bore anybody with it. So after the gain staging and doing all the cleanup, vocal cleanup, sanitation, this is what we have. So this is Kani's vocals.
Love, tell me what it is. Tell me what it is. Love,
That's the lead vocal.
tell me what it is. Please, Lord. Love.
So let me take you down to his vocal breakdown. So first of all, we added an auto tune to his vocals. I tuned it to fit his vocal and I put it in key. Then I added some EQ. I added a far filter EQ, a subtractive and an additive EQ. Then I cut away from the 200 and the 200 to 300 hertz to remove every low end as unwanted, every rumble, and I boosted at 500 hertz. Then I cut down from the 800 hertz and the 137 hertz. Why I cut down because of it has a lot of nasal tones, because when they sent me this file, the recording process was not very good. I had a lot of issues with the recording process, so there were a lot of things I had to do for the vocals to come out like this. Then I boosted on the 250 hertz. Then I really dipped on the 600 to 7,000 hertz. Then I boosted in the 16,000 hertz part. Then I did my first compression where I adjusted the threshold. I adjusted the threshold to what I want, because compression, you can don't copy my compression settings. Every vocal is unique to its
Love.
own compression settings. So I added a compressor. Then I added another compressor. This is a compressor I use on most of my jobs. I added a waves compressor. This compressor is amazing. It balances the vocals on the beats, and you can also use it as a noise gate too. So I added that. Then I added a DSR because there were a lot of hisses and hums. A DSR. Then I added a TDR voice EQ. This is an additive EQ where you can boost some high end, some low end, some mid frequencies. Then I added saturation, that is sausage fastener. Everything I did were just peculiar to what fit this mix, not a template. So after that, I added sausage fastener, which is also a I made a mistake. Okay, no, I added virtual mixer rack to it. So now virtual mixer rack is I don't know why it's showing that name there. I don't know why this is virtual mixer rack. So I added virtual mixer rack to it. I added a preamp and I added another saturation plugin to it. Then that was all for it. I didn't want to go crazy because of I had to cut a lot of things on this stuff. Then let's go to the send. So I have three sends here, two reverbs and one delay. So I did a send to each of them before I routed this to the main vocal bus. On my vocal bus here, I have fresh air plugin which is on. Let me delete this. I did not use this again. Yeah, so this was what I have. Then on my vocal bus, I still did a parallel compression. I did another send, a parallel compression. I love using parallel compression. I've explained that later. Then on my reverb, I have Echo Boy. I have an EQ to remove the low end. I added some compression to my reverb. Yes, you can do whatever you want as long as it fits the mix. Nobody knows what you do on the mix. All they want is a good mix. Then I added some saturation to it too. I also added the reverb. This is my second reverb. I use the Fab Filter Pro R. Then I added um, equalization and EQ. I added the compression and saturation. Then on my delay, I tune my delay to. I always add auto tune to my delay because delay is like sending the vocals again. So to sound as raw as you send it. So that's why I add effects on my delay. So I added an auto tune. I added my Fruity delay, the stock plugin. I added Fruity reverb. I didn't use the flangos. I deleted it. I didn't want this. So I added then I added my EQ and I added my compression. Then I added my saturation. That was what I used for this stuff. So now this song, Fear Love, is by Canis Igwe featuring me, Alonzi, and it's available on all digital platforms. You guys can go check it out. It's an album, Out the Ghetto. So most times now we're doing the breakdown of how I mix every song on the album. So this song is titled Fear Love of the Out the Ghetto album. So you all can go get it on all digital platforms. Now that's that for Canis vocal. So after adding all those effects, this is what Canis vocal sounds like.
Tell me what it is. Tell me what it is. Love. Tell me what it is. Please, Lord. Love. Tell me what it is. Tell me what.
So now without that effect, this is what his vocal sounds like without. If I remove all the effect I put on, this is the raw vocal.
Love.
Yeah.
Tell me what it is. Tell me what it is. Love. Tell me what it is. Please, Lord.
Then with our effect, this is what it sounds like. After adding everything and doing it, this is what it sounds like.
Tell me what it is. Tell me what it is.
So now let's move to my own setup. So I was also on the song. What is all those cause for this pain and this misery? So now let me take you to my vocal breakdown of because I mixed the song. So now, quick here, I did my auto tune here. I tuned it. I added some EQ. I added some compression. I added my Waves RVox compressor. I added the DSR. I added the Chidera Vox. Pretty much the same plugins I used to mix Canis vocal were the same plugins I used to use my vocals. They were just tweaked differently because of our vocal textures are different. So that's why I separated it. Then we have on our backup, we have our auto-tune on our backup, we have our equalizer, we have our DSR, we have our compressor, we have our Fruity chorus, we have our sausage fastener, we have our wider because I wanted the vocals to be to sound like it's a choir and it's spreading, so that's why I use a wider. Yes. So and here is for the beats. The beats, I could not get the stems of the beats, so they sent me just one file of the beat, so I had to actually adjust the beats to fit the vocals because like I said, I don't think the recording process was good. I had a lot of issues mixing this, but you don't have to give excuse, you have to give results. So with everything said, this is the result we came up with, and this is the whole song. It's available on all platforms.
Love. Tell me what it is. Tell me what it is. Love. Tell me what it is. Please, Lord. Love. Tell me what it is.
So that's all for this song. You guys can go check out the song on all platforms. Fear Love featuring Alonzi, Canis, Igwe on all platforms is an album out the ghetto. So on our next class, I'll be showing you how I mix some of the other songs on the album. So thanks for watching. Bye.